Welcome to Crime Matinee, where we delve into the darkest depths of humanity's psyche. Today, we unravel the haunting story of Alun Kyte, the Midlands Ripper, a man whose unassuming exterior masked a monstrous nature. Follow us as we piece together the chilling puzzle of his crimes, the lives he destroyed, and the moral questions his story forces us to confront. This isn't just a tale of murder. It's a grim reflection of society's vulnerabilities and the predators who exploit them. What makes a man capable of such unspeakable horror? Alun Kyte, the so-called Midlands Ripper, was no ordinary predator. His chilling double life as a lorry driver and a remorseless murderer exposed a sinister underbelly of human nature. Dive into the twisted mind of a man who evaded justice for years, leaving a trail of devastation across the Midlands. This is not just a story about crime. It's a haunting look at morality, justice, and the darkness that can lurk beneath an unassuming facade. Alun Kyte was born in Stoke-on-Trent, England, on July 7, 1964, and grew up in Stafford with his two sisters. Alun faced health issues like asthma throughout his life, and his family was caring and supportive. After high school, he took odd jobs before becoming a lorry driver. His profession as a lorry driver facilitated his unhealthy interests in sex workers and fraudulent behavior. Alun had a gambling addiction, and he had a penchant for petty theft as comes with the trade. His father found Alun had stolen £700 from his bank account and reported the incident to the police. Meanwhile, the police had slowly built a profile based on numerous other reports from his victims who he conned out of money under the pretext of carrying out services he never delivered upon. There were reports from prostitutes claiming they'd been lured to a spot, then assaulted and robbed by a lorry driver. Unfortunately, being a lorry driver meant he wasn't known around these areas, and he was never in the same place at the same time. The police were now on the hunt for a missing person whom they soon apprehended. Alun Kyte is arrested and convicted of theft and deception and other charges. He is sentenced to 2 years of probation. The Birmingham-Balsall Heath inner-city area of Birmingham is well known for its home to prostitution. This history began post-World War II when the economy was on the up and up, however, still desiring a lot more for its inhabitants. Due to the status of its residents, it quickly became a crime zone, and at some point was dubbed the busiest cul-de-sac due to the hundreds of prostitutes working in this area alone. Following a horrific murder of a prostitute, campaigns were started to eradicate prostitution in the area, which led to positive outcomes and have restored the area to its once former glory. This horrific murder in question is no other than that of Samo Paul. Samo was a 20-year-old single mother from Rowley Regis, who was a sex worker working in the red light district of Balsall Heath area of Birmingham. On a cold night in early December 1993, Samo gets into a brown Ford car and is never seen or heard from again. Betty Wilson was on her way to work that cold December morning and drove past a brown car parked on the verge in the road. The headlamps were on, and she noticed the female passenger was sad if propped upright. However, there were visible marks on her face. The driver was pulling his cap lower over his face upon seeing Betty, as if trying to hide his identity. He looked nervous. Betty, a former pathologist, had thought this was very strange. She later forms a key witness in the murder as she described the mud-caked car and identifying Samo as the dead woman in the car. 3 weeks later, a horse rider is riding by a desolate road in Leicestershire when he finds a body lying by the side of the road. Samo is found lying in a ditch of water, stripped of some of her clothing, and her belongings were nowhere to be found. Pathologists confirmed she had been strangled. It was a spring day in March 1994, only months after the murder of Samo. The TV is broadcasting a reconstruction of the likely events which unfolded before her death. Most residents see this broadcast. For some, it's gruesome enough to send chills down their spine. For some, it leaves them excited. Sure enough, Alun sees this broadcast. The police think so, because soon after the broadcast is aired, the next murder occurs. Tracy Turner, a 30-year-old sex worker who lived in the Midlands of England, was known to work the Balsall Heath areas of Birmingham, as well as the area around the Hilton Park services in Essington, Wolverhampton, on the outskirts of Birmingham. She was deaf. On the 2nd of March, she stepped out to ply her trade on the highways of Britain. Sadly, she was never seen alive again. Her naked body was found the next day, 6 miles from the same location Samo was found. Similarly, she had been raped and strangled. Following this, the police had questioned a suspect believed to have been seen speaking to Tracy the night she disappeared. However, there was no evidence to hold him, and he was let go. The news of the 2 murders spread, and Alun returned to the scene of his crime, pretending to be a journalist. He was trying to find out how much people knew under the pretext of investigating prostitution. Knowing there was little information about the perpetrator of these gruesome acts, he decided to kill again. That same month, he picks up another prostitute from the Balsall Heath area and drives to a dark, remote spot. Alun threatened the sex worker at knife point and tried to rob her. However, she begged for her life, claiming she was pregnant. Eventually, Alun lets her go. She reports the incident to the police, providing them with some insight into their perpetrator's MO. Unfazed, he continues with his life of petty crime and continues to build his AP sheet. He's never connected with the murders of the 2 prostitutes found in the preceding years. He seems to be in search of fresh pastures, as his notoriety forces him to leave the Midlands. By December 1997, Alun now resides near the seaside on the southwest coast of England. He lived at a hostel in Weston-super-Mare. Weston-super-Mare is a lively tourist town along the Bristol Channel with a current population of over 80,000 people. The 90s saw major developments, including the opening of the Sovereign Shopping Centre and the Aquarium Sea Life Centre. 1997 is the year of Radio 1 Roadshow on the beach. The hostels would serve as affordable accommodation and are often rooms with several bunk beds like a dormitory, and would have communal utilities like bathrooms, kitchen, and living room. One night, Alun attacks another resident, a female residing at the same hostel. He threatened her with a knife and subjected her to sodomy. She managed to escape, and she ran to report the incident to the police. The police arrived at the hostel and arrested Alun. He was charged and sentenced to 8 years imprisonment at the Bristol Crown Court. During interrogation, blood samples were taken, and when run in the National DNA database, a positive match with a previous test from a previous crime scene was made. The blood samples taken matched that found on the corpse of Tracy Turner in 1994. Following this new development, he was questioned in relation to Tracy's murder. At this time, there were several reports and incidents involving murdered or missing prostitutes, and the police force started Project Operation Enigma. Their studies confirmed there were approximately 4 serial killers in operation in the Midlands during Alun's active years. They suspected he was responsible for several more, possibly a number far surpassing that of serial killer Sutcliffe. However, due to lack of evidence and his failure to admit his involvement, no further charges could be brought against him. However, they were certain the murders of Samo and Tracy were linked. Subsequently, in March 2000, he is charged with both murders and sentenced to a minimum of 25 years. He later appealed, but was denied. Behind bars, the tremors of his vicious activity continued to rock the nation, as some of crimes before Samo and Tracy emerged. In the late 1980s, Alun assaulted a minor over a 5-year period. The abuse began when the victim was 9 years old. Alun lured him to his home, where he would attack the child. Alun would beat him up and threaten to hurt his family if he told anyone. In 2023, the victim came forward and reported the incident to the police. In 2023, 2 years to when he would be paroled, he received another life sentence and is now no longer eligible for parole until 2033. Kyte remains incarcerated at HMP Onley. Alun Kyte was an unremarkable man to those around him, yet his double life as a lorry driver allowed him to prey on vulnerable women, leaving behind a trail of heinous crimes. His calculated methods and ability to evade capture turned him into a phantom figure, haunting communities and law enforcement alike. Despite a facade of petty theft and minor offenses, his arrest uncovered a far more sinister pattern of murder and deceit. Kyte's eventual conviction and the revelation of his crimes highlight the enduring struggle between justice and the hidden evils of human nature.